I might as well look at it in my email then. Great sunrise, family. Great sunrise. Okay, voters' rights. I could give one red says about, well, no red says about voters' rights. Because, again, we're in a system of control, and no one should know that better than us as a group of people. We should know this really well by now. Our whole lives, our whole everything has been under a control mechanism. And this is one of them. This is one of them. This is what I call a game. A game. And you're going to see why I call this a game. Because Biden has alluded already. He alluded when he met with our so-called Black leaders on that Zoom, that I think I played the video of that Zoom and talked about that in the past, about some remarks he made in that Zoom. Because once again, we're holding up this society. Not only this society, we hold up the whole, how do I say it? We're holding up the whole world, basically. This whole world. That's why I say, when I separate it out, I said, this is not our world, but this is another world. And it's a world that we're being utilized to benefit the survival, towards the survival of the people of this world, of this illusion, of this lie. So basically, it's one big lie. So we're going to get into this article, and then I'm gonna show you, the minds that we're up against when it comes to getting truth out to our people. Not only to our people, but just in general. When you say the truth, people shun you off as if it's not, as if all is well in the world with them, and as they know it, and they don't want to really see any change. They don't really want to any new ideas. They just want to, and you're going to see that later on. I'm going to show you 2 separate occasions. But let's get into this article where we're talking about the fake concern for the so-called quote-unquote Black voter. But it's not about us. So we already saw what he said in that Zoom, not only to them, but to we got the message loud and clear. Good morning. After Biden's speech on voting rights, we explained the 2 camps in the debate about how to protect them. Okay. President Biden and congressional Democrats are making a new push to pass a voters' rights bill. Okay. Right there, she questioned, why isn't the one that my people so-called fought for voting rights? Why isn't the first one good enough? Why isn't that, but as it is, we always, as a people, we're always the ones who open the door for others and they slam it at us. We're the door openers. All that hard work, all that push, only to allow everyone else in, and it gets slammed in our faces. But and I feel like this is the same case, same situation. As they do, as they do, it's worth keeping in mind that there are two major categories of voting issues that sometimes get conflated. There is also a growing debate about which should be the higher priority. The first category includes the issues that have long animated voting rights. Advocates like expanded voting access through mail ballots, for example, as well as restrictions on partisan gerrymandering and campaign donations. Advocates say these policies are particularly important because of Republican efforts to restrict voting. If they ain't got this by now, if they ain't got this by now, I don't know what. I mean, it's maybe it's the mind behind it all, because when you think about a society, we should be way past this by now. But because of the mind and understanding the mind that we're dealing with, the type of mind that we're dealing with, and that's what it's all about. That type of mind cannot move forward. That type of mind cannot survive. So that type of mind needs leverage, needs stuff like this to hold on to keep as leverage, as that leverage, in trying to deal with their situation of survival. Especially among, they're going to say Black, Latino, and younger Americans and draw gerrymandering mandated districts. So the second category was obscure until the 2020 presidential election. It involves new laws to prevent the subversion of an election after it happens, as Donald Trump and his supporters tried to do in 2020 and have signaled they may try again. You know what? All right. They did everything. They did everything. The first time before 2020 election to prevent people from it's they really wanted Hillary Clinton to win. They pulled out all the stops and all the moves to entice black so-called quote unquote black voters, because there's nothing black about us. They think that that's what that's what Trump and his supporters did. They think. Once again, they accuse them without even having evidence. Without having any evidence of anything. because Trump didn't even, I don't even think they pushed that hard. I don't, from my memory, it was all on, you know, kind of letting it go naturally. And he was shocked and surprised that he even won. He was shocked and surprised that he even won. It's his first time. He's not a politician. So that was that was just pure purely something out of the ordinary, I would say. That wasn't necessarily um, a politician going against a politician. That was something else. That was totally. It was a totally different situation. But once again, they have to make it like others are out here being facetious, being wicked, being evil, trying to put the stops. People, no. I feel like at that point, it's all lies. It's all lies. Because if that was the case, he would have succeeded in at beating Biden out of the office. This time in 2020, he would have won. But no, that wasn't the case. In case the dishonesty was on their side. The dishonesty was on their side. Some experts believe that both categories are vital and that viewing them separately is a mistake. Others say that while the first is important, it's also part of centuries long back and forth struggle to expand voting access. While the second is urgent, given the looming threat of an overturned election. Today, we walk you through the case being made by each side in the debate, as well as the latest news, including Biden's speech yesterday, delivered at a group of historically Black colleges in Atlanta. Be ambitious. Well, we're naturally ambitious. Um, to be ambitious is to, really have something in life that we're shooting for, and within our culture, that is all the time for us. And it's even more being that we're away from our culture, and we're so it's to think that we're not ambitious people, that you have to make that a point. um it just alludes to the situation of how we've been controlled in a way, um, have made to have really no choice of the matter because drugs are put in our communities, alcohol is put in our communities, dysfunction is put in our communities, but we still naturally have these things about us. Um, so he went to the colleges and spoke. And the first thing I see on here is being ambitious. If you're at a college, of course they're ambitious. The major recent voting legislation from congressional Democrats has focused more on the first category. The House last year passed a sweeping bill that would, among other things, mandate automatic voter registration, ban partisan gerrymandering, and expand early voting. A compromise bill favored by Senator Joe Manchin would include narrow versions of many such ideas as well as voter identification requirement, which is Republican priority. Some voting rights advocates favor an ambitious approach that combines these ideas with attempts to crack down on Trump like subversion of vote counting is all one related attack. Wendy Weiser of Brennan Center for Justice told us it's not enough to just stop the attempt to sabotage at the very end of the process if the process is being undermined at every other phase. One rationale: if Democrats have to pass a bill along partisan lines, according to his view, they should pass the best, broadest bill, one that does everything possible to protect basic rights. American and the democracy, because that's what it is, it's democracy, is facing an existential crisis. The Washington Post, Perry Bacon Jr. has written, and it should be treated like one. Number two, they say be realistic. Be realistic. And by the way, there's nothing realistic about any of this. So, other voting rights activists consider this view naive. They say that an ambitious partisan legislative push is doomed. Given Democrats narrow Senate majority, and that the Trumpist threat to the democracy is a true emergency. The threat to their democracy. It's a deep emergency, a true emergency. Our colleague Nate Kahn, who covers elections, calls the possibility of election subversion the most insidious and serious threat to democracy. Rick Hansen, an election law expert at the University of California, Irvine, told us, this is a house on fire moment. And the priority should be trying to find bipartisan. Well, one side is scamming the people, the other side is for the people. The other side is not working for their own pockets. The other side is working for the people's pockets and working for the people to be able to have their voice. And the priority should be trying to find bipartisan paths towards compromise. And a recent, which you never get because greed is on one side and the other side is just getting, greed is on one side and the other side is just not doing its good job at getting the voice of the people heard. It's almost as if they're helping the other side in their greed almost. So this is definitely a house on fire moment, and the priority should be trying to find bipartisan paths towards compromise. In a recent Times opinion article, Hassan wrote that Democrats have not focused enough on the threat. Hassan and others have suggested rewriting the Electoral Count Act of 1887. Yeah, you think so? It's 2022. It's not 1887 anymore. Like I always say, you that little small mirror we look through just to check, and the big mirror we look to head towards the future. So we should have checked all of the 1887 stuff and moved towards the future and changed it towards gearing towards that. But that is not the case, which is now fairly vague. A strengthened version of it might raise the bar for when a state legislature could declare an election to be void. It could limit the occasions to a terrorist attack or natural disaster. See, if we had this in our minds, if we had these worries, we would probably not be here. We would probably not be here. So they don't need these worries. They've already destroyed a people. So it's okay for terrorists to come here, and it's okay for natural disaster to happen, because something has to get rid of this wicked, nasty evilness that we are enduring. And who knows, what's a terrorist to one is a god to another. Rather than allowing a legislature to do so by citing claims of fraud. Manchin's compromise bill includes a couple of other ideas that voting rights experts favor. A requirement that voting machines produce a paper ballot for every vote, and limits on when election officials can be removed from office. Advocates of a narrow approach note that some Republicans appear willing to consider it. Mitch McConnell, the Republican Senate leader, has suggested that he might be open to reforming the Electoral Act. Susan Collins of Maine has convened a bipartisan group to discuss electoral reform, including changes to the 1887 law. Another issue that we're taking a look at is how we could protect election officials from harassment. Collins told Punchbowl News, Yuval Levin, a conservative policy expert, has laid out what a compromise bill might look like. What's next? For now, Democrats appear more focused on the ambitious option. If they have even slightly larger congressional majorities, that approach might be promising. But they do not. They cannot afford to lose even a single Democratic senator. In this speech yesterday, Biden called on the Senate to pass voting rights legislation, even if it requires changing the filibuster. If that happens, Democrats could pass a bill without any Republican support. In doing so, Biden heeded the calls of Democratic activists who have been urging him to put more pressure on Congress. In reality, though, he does not have much leverage. He cannot force Manchin and several other senators who generally support the filibuster to change their minds. So now I'm going to skip on over to Biden's speech. This is a lot to read. Okay, here's Biden's speech. I've been having these quiet conversations with members of Congress for the last 2 months. I'm tired of being quiet, Biden says in Atlanta, smacking his lectern. I believe that the threat to our democracy is so grave that we must find a way to pass these voting right bills. Biden says, debate them, vote, let the majority prevail. Senate Democrats are circulating multiple filibuster overall proposal. So I guess that was his speech. And I really think that, it'd be nice if we knew who we were and why we were, rather than get involved with all this that doesn't get us anywhere. This voter rights and all this stuff that we're engaged in. Um, that only it's really not putting us up anywhere. As we see it, it's not taking us anywhere. It's not putting us. It's not getting us up to our next level we need to go to. Actually, it's pulling us back. Kind of like when I was talking about religion. I don't care. The word means what it means. It is what it is. Um, and you know, if it worked, if it was that powerful, it would. I should say, if it was that powerful, it would have worked by now. But we see so much going on because with it, if it wasn't for the wicked system, perhaps it would work. It would work. Religion would work. But because they have a wicked system with it, it does not work. Now, if everybody had access to endless resources without having to pay for it, but you can bargain, but not pay for it and become in debt and have someone that's, the greedy over the needy situation, then those things will work. But because of the system, mm-mm, you can't have it both ways. You can't have uh, ways you're harming people on this side, and then on ways that you're trying to make yourself look like an angel on the other side. It just doesn't work that way. It just doesn't work that way. And like I said, this is all about keeping us engaged in something that is not beneficial. It's not raising our bar. It's not, you know, getting us anywhere. But what it is doing, this is what makes it a game. It is keeping us engaged. It is in a bad way, and it is only benefiting a certain group of people because, like Biden says, it's going to be more brown people or black people soon than there is Caucasians. But what we don't do, we look at color, which is an indicator, but not always an indicator. Instead of looking at science, instead of looking at the What does a strand series DNA look like? What does a non-strand DNA look like? What are the characteristics? What are the behaviors of each that would different? Whether we should be engaged in dealing with it, or should we be engaged in building for ourselves? Because as it is now, we can't we're out here trying to attempt to build for ourselves out here, but to a certain degree, that is very difficult when you think about Black businesses and Black getting our own people to want to support those things, you know. And then the thinking that's been put out, getting people to think, they think like this is normal, everything is normal. They normalized everything. So let's get into that. Um, let's get into that. Mm. Hey, forecast. Yeah, we're only worried about the greater of the two evils. When we should totally exit both. We shouldn't be involved in voting. I don't vote anymore because it's a waste of my energy, and that's all they're pulling from us, is our energy. And we don't have to. We're in a place now where it's coming to the end. So it's at the end, right? So if we're at the end of something, don't you know our choices and decision making gets better? Don't you know our power is actually gradually coming back to us? You know, our powers in the physical now are here. We can make decisions. We can use our wits about us to maneuver through the system. But when our real powers come on, that is totally gonna take us clear out of it. That would take us clear out of it. But let me get into these other talking points here. What did I do with that one? Okay, I'm going to share this screen because I'm going to talk about this one first. This is about the DNA strands and I'm going to go over some comments that the people had about it. Okay, you know how we do. Some believe, some say it's crazy, ludicrous. Okay, this person did uploaded this video. It's called "Black People Have Non-DNA Series and the Rest of the World Have Sex."
Here's a copy of the front page with all, and a copy of the back page with all the references where you can find it. So, I mean, you can take that with you. Yeah, because the inside is what was copyrighted. Dr. Robinson. Yeah. Why do you think the research was done? Was it to determine the intellectual definition? They thought it was going to come out differently. Oh,
yep.
That's why they copyrighted. You ain't heard nothing about it, have you? No. That's why you have it. They didn't publish it. No, they ain't gonna publish it. Oh, so they copyrighted it to keep it from being published. Now you got it. Now you got it. Well, of course. My brother and I read a book called The Mark of Oppression. And these two publishers, Cardiner and Oversee, said that they could not understand how is it that a group of people, African Americans, have been bludgeoned over their heads mentally and spiritually for hundreds of years and are still surviving. They couldn't understand it, and they said so in their book. The answer came out in 1996, why it is that not only have African Americans survived the worst mental and spiritual bludgeoning of any people in recorded history, but they are becoming champions of everything in which there is a level playing field. No matter what it is, we predominate in every field. This is why they won't teach our children African history, because they know that once our children get on the same level playing field as their white counterparts, that they will dominate just like we dominate in basketball, baseball, football, track and field, and anything else in which there is a level playing field. So that while they teach their children about the greatness of their European ancestors, they won't teach our children about the greatness of their African ancestors, because then that would be a level playing field in academia. And they know that we will predominate, just like all of these examples we've given them, that our children predominate when they know who they are from the African historical point of view. Now, here's what I found out in 1996. A group of geneticists wrote this book. Little tiny geneticists.
Can you identify where they from, how it came about?
Yeah, okay. All right, sure. Yes, indeed. As an organization, it's called the American Association for the Advancement of Science. The American Association for the Advancement of Science. Now, this organization is composed of people who study about DNA and the genome. And you've been reading about the DNA and the genomes. Well, this group of scientists came upon an idea by accident at first, that different groups of people had different numbers of DNA series.
Explain that.
Now, a DNA series means that when your DNA is located, and say they get a hair from your head and they subject it to certain tests, they say, well, this is the DNA of Minister Brown, and yours is different from everybody else in the world. All right? Then they found further that not only are their DNA series different, but the number of DNAs in there are different in different groups. Whites have a different number of DNA, and blacks have a different number of DNA series. Apes have a different number of DNA series. Then they found this amazing thing, that the greater the number of DNA series, the smarter the person, the group is, the greater the probability of genius within that group. So they tested the orangutans, these 15 geneticists from around the world. Now, these geneticists came from 9 different universities. And we have here on the cover of the pamphlet they put out the names of these geneticists. And you can see them right there, right beneath the title of this pamphlet. Now, this pamphlet, most people have no idea what it means. But breaking it down, and after you study it and have it explained to you by a geneticist, a trained geneticist, you will find that they're talking about DNA series. Now, here are the names of these 15 geneticists from around the world: University of Japan, University of China. Yale University is the headquarters of this organization called the American Association for the Advancement of Science. And you see it down there. Now, this was copyrighted in 1996. All right. What it said is this, and this is the mind-blowing part. It said that when they tested the orangutan, they found out he only had 3 DNA series. When they tested the gorilla, they found out the gorilla has 4 DNA series. So he's a little smarter than the orangutan. They tested the chimpanzee, which is an ape, and found that he had 5 DNA series. Then they went all into the different races of the world. They went into Europe and tested the DNA series of the English, the French, the German, the Spanish, the Russians, and found they had 6 DNA series. Then they put all of this, what they found from around the world, on a map. And this map really is called the intelligence map of the world, because they tested 116 different human groups and found their DNA series numbers. All of them, all over the world, have 6. And they put the numbers in form of a little flag that you can see on this map. These little flags have a color. And they show, oh, this is upside down. I'm sorry. Yeah. And they showed that the English have only 6, and all into Europe, only 6. Went over into Japan and China, and they only have 6. Over into America, which is predominantly European, and they only have 6. Then they came to Africa, and they came to the part of Africa. Now, all the rest of them, they put in little flag colors. Those flag colors are orange, red, if you notice. But when they came to Africa, found out that the African people have 9 DNA series, from here just below the Shanghai Empire down to the foot of Africa. All those 10 nations, of which African Americans descended from one of them. We have 9 DNA series, the greatest possibility of genius in that group. Now it's answered this age-old question: how can a people survive being told they're nothing for 400 years, never allowed to learn that they came from beautiful cities, and told they came from a jungle? How could a people survive? How can a people become champions in everything they touch? Because they have 9 DNA series, while the rest of the world has only 6. This is why they copyrighted this. And you notice on the outside of this, now this map is taken, I took this map right from this page here, and I blew it up so that the world could see it. Even though this is copyrighted, I can't let you have this book because it's copyrighted. But when we broke it down and interviewed Dr. Kidd, the head, he's the chairman at Yale University. We broke it down into plain everyday English so that the world would know that the African American is descended from those people who gave to the world the Great Pyramid, gave to the world science, gave to the world mathematics. A black man named Amos gave algebra to the world 3,700 years ago. It's in the world books, it's in the encyclopedias. They don't want our children to know this, because then that would make the playing field level for white children. And you know what happens when they made the playing field level in basketball and allowed black men to play. out of 29 of the top seeded players in the world today, 28 are African American. When they opened up the Penn Relays, when they opened up the Olympics and allowed blacks to run back in 1932, we've won all the gold medals. And the same thing will happen in the classroom when they allow our children to learn their African history. That's what this is saying.
Dr. Robinson, are you saying that the African American also has 9 strands of DNA?
I am saying that we are descended from the West Africans who have 9 DNA series on this map. That these geneticists, you see the green.
We just may have more DNA series. We just may have more than 9. But one thing for sure, we don't derive from the Neanderthal. We don't derive from the monkeys, apes, chimpanzees, or anything like that. Simply because their DNA is totally different than our DNA. But they do match with the other races on the planet. And that's regardless of their skin tones. Because you got to realize Caucasians have a variety of skin tones. They have a variety of skin tones. You have the Indians who are dark red and sometimes dark, deep dark. But they still, these ones still have that 6-strand series because they're still falling under Caucasian. So does the Asian. Now, there are Negroids in those groups because we were all over the place, quite naturally. Many want to say they brought us here, they brought us there. We were already places. They may have brought more from somewhere else to, like from Africa to the Americas. Yeah, but the Americas, that don't mean the Americas did not have Negro people, Negroes. So the same thing for the islands. Doesn't mean that there weren't indigenous people already in the islands. Doesn't mean there wasn't indigenous people already in England, in Europe, in Canada, on some of these islands. We already know that they're on these islands, the Andaman Islands, which that Christian man tried to go to because he felt entitled. But he found out real quick that entitlement does not span all over the planet when he got shot by an arrow in the butt. Ox. So he found out that real quick, that his entitlement ticket did not extend. It probably doesn't even extend to Antarctica. But they be pushing it and they try. But anyway, family, let's look at some of these. Let's go ahead and look at some of these comments that these people have. Okay, he put here, watch this in full, clips below, typed as I watched, copyrighted in 1996 to prevent it from being taught in schools. He took some notes. Study done by the American Association of Advancement of Science. Of course, they did the study trying to prove us to be a lesser people, and they only proved us to be a more people. See, this is the same way everything else works. That's why we don't have no concern as a people. If we're in our right minds, you know, we shouldn't have no concerns with what they do. Because we know when that enlightenment happens to us and we're enlightened to our own knowledge, then we are protected, that we are aware. composed of people who study DNA and genomes. Different groups of people have different numbers of DNA series. The greater the number of DNA series, the smarter the group is, the greater the probability of genius in that group. So I guess they wanted to top it off in 1996, which shows that, things never really change. So, because if you look back at historical things dealing with us, we have been successful at creating and building great civilizations. Guess what they wanted to do? They wanted to put themselves in those positions. They wanted to see if there was anyone that had claims, stake claim. When they found that we could stake claim, they kind of backed off and did not make this public. But if they could show that we were the 6 DNA strands and they were more, that would have been a plus for what they would be able to do. So everything's in their imagination. The point that we're pulled down to their level is their imagination. We allow that to be a reality. We have allowed that to be a reality for them. Okay. These 15 geneticists from around the world tested in orangutans. They found out they had 3 DNA series, gorilla 4 DNA series, chimpanzee 5 DNA series. They then tested humans. Europeans have 6 DNA series. They tested 116 human groups, found their DNA series number. All over the world have 6 DNA series. Japan/China have 6. They tested African people, and they have 9. Yes, 9 DNA series. All of sub-Saharan Africa, 9 DNA series. The rest of the world have 6, only 6. Okay. Now I'm going to give y'all some numbers on this, to why I think this 9-6 has come before me. Because remember, in my other video, I told you that the queen is going to be finished this year. She's going to be finished this year. All because of this destruction of our people. And it's not our doing or anyone else's doing. It's just nature right now. But look how nature works. Don't you know this woman turns 96? She turns 96. She'll be 96 this year. And she'll go out with a bang, because things have been revealed to people who never knew this information. And what do we get? We get a 9, which 9 comes before the 6, because in this case, numerically, the 6 comes before the 9. But in this discussion, because we're the first people, the first creation, 9 comes before the 6. So you get 96. In the past, present, and future, it would always be 9-6 all day long. No change in that. So let's look at the comments. What's a DNA series? Okay, someone wants to know what a DNA series is. And that's a great question. I just looked down here and I was trying to see if they got answered, but he said, I don't know, bro. So, okay. But we can try real quick to look up a DNA series, because that's very important. We shouldn't have a problem doing that. Let me get this. I think I looked it up, but I don't forget what it is now. Okay. I'm looking up DNA series because that was a good question to know what a DNA series is. Okay. So, what are the 6 parts of DNA? They're only talking about the 6 because majority of the people, well, not majority of the people, because let me see. Okay, let's look here because this is still not telling me what I need to know. Mhm. Okay. Okay, maybe this will help. DNA Wikipedia, because the Wikipedia usually breaks down when they talk about people, they talk about every area of that person. So let's hope that they talk about every area of the DNA, especially the series part, and we get some information on that. Okay, they got sequences, um, genetic code. Uh, I'm looking for the series. I do not see it yet. Still looking. Hmm. It says here, okay, your choro- chaotic, chaotic organisms store most of their DNA inside a cell nucleus as nucleus DNA, and some in their mitochondria as mitochondria DNA, or in the cytoplasm as plants or animals. So I don't see. I might have to look that up separate. I don't see this way. Okay, look it up. still gets me too. Maybe I'm on a roadblock, huh? That's what I'm beginning to think. What was that? Can you tell me anything? Okay, DNA series explained. That's what we want. We want to go back because we want DNA series then explained to us. Okay. Okay, here we go. Finally found something. Okay, where's DNA series? Okay, DNA series explained in detail. I'm waiting. Okay, here we go. Hopefully, this will do it. Hopefully, this will do it. Okay, I'm just going to let it be right here. Okay, each DNA sequence that contains instructions to make a protein is known as a gene. The size of a gene may vary greatly, ranging from about 1,000 bases to 1 million bases in humans. Genes only make up about 1% of the DNA sequence. I'm sitting up here trying to see. Let's okay. Let me go over here. This is talking about. But I think it's part of the information, definitely sequence, probably in the sequence. Um, let's move along. You can talk, you can take that with you. Sounds like my drunk ass Scientologist neighbor trying to give me pamphlets when I'm walking to my apartment. So he said he's not buying it. He's not buying it. Oh, snap. Yeah, that's what I said. Let me try to reload that. Ah, okay. Okay. But this is just some of the places where, it just lets you know what people are, you know. Um, one person, 100%. There are seven. Okay, He's explaining it. Okay, he's actually explaining the series. Okay, there are seven major mitochondrial DNA haplogroups and haplogroups, and we all descend from one of these big branches. Okay, Africa has all seven of these DNA groups. Everything outside Africa descend from just three. So from zero to two, this is what the Europeans and the other Caucasian beings on the planet have: zero, one, two. We have all seven of these: L0, L1, L2, L3, L4, L5, and L6. We have all 7 of those. Okay, random Niger, and then he goes down here and says a random Nigerian bra might have more in common genetically with some random white broad in Sweden than another Nigerian living down the street. Now that was a big insult because that's saying that men are men that look like me, of course. The Negro man has brought into this culture in a way that now he is no longer able to um, you know he's not able to, or and you see this I think he's maybe gesturing to this guy, and the guy that asked about the what that is, DNA series, because they're not thinking. You don't think when you can relate to a random white broad in Sweden than you can with your own people in your own place where you come from. Then you don't have to use your mind, and you're not using it. And he says Africa is diverse as fuck. Um, I got no idea what you're talking about, but it sounds like good shit. So, and the Barack Obama emoji. And then this one says they then tested humans. Europeans have 6 DNA series. They tested 116 human groups, found their DNA series number all over the world have 6 DNA series. The number of a man, 666. Then they tested African people and they had 9. Yes, 9 DNA series. All of Sahara Africa, 9 DNA series. The rest of the world have 6. Okay, I don't know if this just goes, okay. And then this one says, I'm always wary of these studies because they are often weaponized against us to argue whether or not we are human. But no, this was in our favor. Yeah, they did these studies to take our inheritance from us, which is we inherited the earth, and we inherited the the, the things that were put here to constantly grow if we take care of it. We take care of, we do our work in the garden, we take care of our stuff, take care of nature, take care of the planet, then there's no concern. But someone else stole our legacy. They stole our inheritance. So they're in our position, and they wanted to, yes, weaponize this against us so they can put themselves once again into our place and say it's rightful. It's rightful. Be able to say it's rightful when we know that it's not. It's not. I'm always weary of these studies because she's making a comment back because she didn't. I'm the same with her, but that's the irony. These studies continue to show we're human, while their male ASS are subhuman. That's what she said. And then she replied, "We are human. They are offshoots, of course." He said, you just know it's a dope. Okay. What am I supposed to do with this information? There's a lot you're supposed to do with this information. For one thing, it can help you to maneuver through, uh, in all honesty, in all truth, your authenticity. You be authentic. You can be, not knowing all this stuff. You kind of thinking, because we're thinking in the program way we were meant. They made us think. Our 3 DNA strands are gone. At least not gone, but they are dormant. We put them on the back shelf and taken up something else, some other way of existing. And that's the end of those comments. But that's just some things, like some people, when you bring things forward to them, this is how they react. This is how they react. But now we're going to look at another thing here. Hold on, another video. And this is with the guy that I used to follow. Hey, Cardinal Sin, welcome, welcome, welcome. The guy I used to follow by the name of Lloyd Pye. And, it's a lot of research. He did a lot of research into the human genome as well, trying to find that more information. So this is the same thing, same subject, okay, family? But the only thing is, this man is no longer existing. So let me share his video. But his videos and his work is still on YouTube. And it's very, very, very important to us, being that we're natural scientists by nature. So by way of our ancestors, we just we dove into this. We engage in this. I don't know if this video is going to work, but we're going to try to make it work. Okay, there we go. So he went around and studied genetic intervention. He talked about genetic intervention in this video, but we're gonna not get into this video. But this is, if you're interested, I would definitely highly recommend you. This is just more education, just more information, and he's got plenty of it. He was bringing back more, but when he came back from a trip to overseas, I think it was Samaria. He went to Samaria. He went somewhere in that region to get some interesting information. But when he came back, he felt ill to cancer. He felt ill to cancer. And, we all thought, oh, they're trying to kill him, because this information would have been some deep information, some really good information he was going to bring back, that, a lot of people that didn't have that capability of traveling to do our own research, was anxious to get this information. So let's look at some of the comments here. Okay. This guy said, this man needs to be remembered by history as being on our side. Okay, he is totally right. We need to stand together for truth, even if we don't get along. The opposition makes a living off destroying the truth and anyone who stands for truth. If we don't fight, nobody will. Okay. He absolutely was killed. Now, this person said, with weaponized cancer, which kills quickly. So he had some sort of radiation poisoning administered towards his person, or they have ways of doing this. But yet people are going to call you one big conspiracy theorist, or but they don't. I'm going to really break that down in a minute. They really don't know what they're talking about when it comes to conspiracy. Because okay, he was warned not to talk about how we were genetically created by splicing chromosomes together, which can't happen naturally, even if we had not actually evolved. Exactly. He was going to bring this glue that binds back. He was going to bring this information to us. And I was excited for it. But when I found out, I went to his video, and his relatives came and was telling us that, he's deceased. And that's why we hadn't heard from him since he had returned from that trip. So this is just what we get. This is what happens. So then you got people we got people who will reply. Hold on. Who will reply? I think it's under this one. Okay. Okay, this person said, how much of a dummy do you have to be to actually believe? You know what I say about believe is to be lied to, that someone killed him by somehow giving him cancer. It happens every day. Why don't people see? People can't see. Now, this is a person that can't see what's in front of them. They can't see what happens on a daily basis. If you knew anything about these topics, you would realize that most of the claims he makes are literally based off facts he got wrong, as well as inaccurate information. No, of course it's going to be inaccurate to the Caucasian mind. I mean, not all Caucasian minds, because most Caucasians generally want to know their truth. And they know they've been lied to. But on the other hand, not all can comprehend that truth because they've been fed a lie, and that lie is comfortable. And the same thing with our people, my community. That lie is so comfortable to be in that if I come to you with something, it's going to blow your mind and be bizarre. You're going to fight me tooth and nail against that. That's just the nature of the beast. But he's saying he's wrong because he's not thinking in the way that his fellow Europeans think. He thinks out of the box. So this is what you get. You get this kind of thinking. His science is way off, and his history is way off, and he could very easily be discredited since he is wrong about so many things, very obvious to any actual scientist, historian, or any well-researched individual. Literally no one needed. I'm gone. Cancer is very common. Cancer is not common. And that is what he died of. It's sad, but it happens. You dummies are nuts. You see, this is the thinking we get. And there's no bringing them out unless they really have to learn the hard way. They have to fall face in the puddle. They have to face the wicked, what they call truth, the wicked truth and realize it was a wicked lie. All the while, it was just a wicked, evil, vicious lie. But until then, they err on the side of the way this society thinks, has been programmed to think, because it's not the way the society has been programmed to think. So once again, we get, more of these comments of people who want to say it's a conspiracy. We're conspiracy. But conspiracy would never come into play if it wasn't true. Conspiracy, when you put conspiracy into play and you bring it up and you say, oh, you conspiracy, that's because people do conspire these things against others. And this is a situation which has been conspired against people from knowing the truth. So that is a reasonable thought that he may have been murdered. It's reasonable. And it's warranted because they have done it in the past. And they keep doing the same thing. The same with the Kucharachi shots, or the Versace, because I can say Versace more easily. The Versace shots they're pushing us to do. We already know this has happened before, so we're ready for it now. This has already happened before. It's come back around. The same thing. The same thing that happened yesterday is going to happen today. You can guarantee that, because it's the same mind, same kind of mind behind the plot. So, family, give me your feedback on what you think. Let me look over some notes, some of these, because I know y'all were giving me some feedback here. Thank you, Forecast, for being here. I'm gonna look at y'all's comments here before I close out and finish up my day. Forecast said, hey, Light Bearer. Hey, Forecast Radio. I'm going to be doing a live. So let me see. Cardinal Sin, if you want to, can you type in the private chat your email for me in the private chat? And Forecast, I think I got your chat. Your private, in the private chat, give me your emails. Please, if I don't already have the emails. Yeah, the Stars Closed Child. It was an alien laughing out loud. Yeah. Let's let me finish these comments. But please, both of you, put your emails in so I can email you what I got going on Saturday at 12:30. Doing a live show, and it's going to be people can come on in and give their thoughts. This is the gathering of minds, and that's a very spiritual thing, to do, is to gather and to look at things and examine things. And he said, exactly, if we were all citizens of the country, why would you even have to pass a Voters' Rights Act? Exactly. exactly. But the people's thinking needs to up, get up a little bit. We need to up our thinking and move out of this vicious circle that we're in. Not, we could be past all of this by now. This is like a waste of time. Any day now. Move it along. That's we really, 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 really need that. We really, really, really need that. Okay. We only worried about the greater of two evils. Exactly. We only worried about the greater of the two evils. Instead of pulling ourselves out of it and not being gamed, have game run all up on us. It's too much gaming. That we have. It should be finished by now. We should get the grift. We should get the groove of everything by now. Interesting. Yeah. Okay. And he said hashtag Team Black. Aren't the numbers of creation, or what they call God, 3, 6, and 9? 3, 6, 9. Perhaps that's interesting. That's interesting for the forecast. That's very interesting. If you got information on that, what you just said, aren't the numbers of creation, or what they call God, 3, 6, 9? Yes, yes. I believe so. I believe it is. Mm-hmm. Uh, these seem like three different species. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Because remember, I think it was the orangutan had three. Um, all the races on the planet have six, and then the Afro people, us, we have 9. You know. However, the 1996 paper Global Patterns of Lineage Distinguishable at the CD4 Locus and Modern Human Origins um, is not about the potential for genius. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. You can't, we can't take what they say 100%. And you can never believe that it's about the potential of genius. It's all about the nature of different species. It's nothing about how smart anything is, because a dog is very smart, a cat is smart, birds are very extraordinarily smart. Anything can be smart. So we know that's a bunch of crap, but that's what they were looking for to put on the Negroid people to make us seem like we have no hope, because they already stuck us in a situation that they keep perpetuating, and they keep, our people pinned down in the conditions. Um, so rather, the paper looks at evidence in the human genome for the out of Africa model of human evolution. Okay. The claims made in the Facebook post are not backed up by the 1996 paper reference. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, you're right. You're right. It's Pinocchio light. Yeah, it is Pinocchio. Yes, it is. And people believe that. They believe that conspiracy thought that everybody's a lie, that we're liars, but yet they keep conspiring against everybody. They keep conspiring like they conspire and lying about this thing that's going on now. They lie. But people end up being lied to and accepting it. And they call people like me a conspiracy theorist and say, well, you just, paranoid, or you just this, or you crazy, you know. No, I look back. through that rearview mirror, and I see visions of what has been done in the past, and I know what's to come. Some people buy a round of drinks, others hide in the toilet when it's their turn. They have less conscious DNA. Exactly. They want to, just say, they want to stick with the norm, what they think is the norm. And it's not. It's not. And they don't want you to bring any kind of new information because those wicked people have made sure that their control can't be compromised. Their control over the minds of people cannot be compromised. Okay. You see, that's the stuff that really makes them mad. Yeah, it is. It is. And if I had the funds, boy, I'll be excavating everywhere. I'll be going everywhere to piss them off. Just to piss them off. You need to do more research on Pi. Yeah, I did. I studied him. I followed him for a good minute. And, information was interesting. It doesn't matter what we think, the data shows his claims to be false. Oh, okay. So his claims were false, you think? Yeah. Well, I don't know. I'm going to actually, like you said, I'm going to do my research into it. I think that, I don't think he probably meant for it to look like that. But I think that it's hard for some people to accept some things. He talked about people having this ability to lift a car and stuff like that, alluding to maybe that the Sasquatch, the Bigfoot that we all talk about, that is lurking amongst us in the woods, just might be able to lift a car, you know? So, oh, where's the private chat? When you click on the comments, do you see the comment? Oh, you don't have a private chat? Okay. Oh my goodness. I don't know if y'all feel comfortable putting your email out. But let me do this. Let me give you my email. I'm gonna put my email in that thing. And then y'all just email me, okay? Just email me. Yep, just take down that email. Yeah, forecast. I just sent you my email. I sent you my email in the chat. Y'all can just take that email and email me. Let me know when you got it. Forecast. Got it? Okay. Okay, great. Great. Both of you got it. Let me, oops. I'm trying to delete it now. Oh, no, that's okay. I don't know how to delete it, but I'll just leave it there. It doesn't make a difference. All right, guys, I'm going to call it, and people in the cloud, I'm going to call it the end. I got to get started on some things. So, with that said, always remember true love, real peace, the higher self within, the soul. Oh, I want to add one thing. Yeah, some of his things were kind of bizarre. Lloyd Pye's ideas were kind of bizarre. But when you talk about DNA and all that stuff, he was really trying to find out. He was going to find out some information. And we got to admit that the information we've been given thus far hasn't been very, very truthful at all. So we want the truth. And if he went and against the system within his era of study to bring forth the truth in a different light, then that's worth looking at and worth uh, commending, you know, because too much we go with the status quo, status, y'all know what I'm saying. Status quo, the same, the same things that really haven't done much for, you know, my art to balance out anything in this society. There's nothing balanced in this society, and it's all due to the lies. So I'll leave that on that note. So with that said, peace until next time, family.